Hello there, and welcome to my Arty Corner here on YouTube. My name's Angela Porter, and I'm best known for my grown-up colouring books. And before I go any further, I'd like to say thank you to each of you who's subscribed to the channel. And if you haven't yet and you enjoy what I'm doing, whatever that may be, whether you find it relaxing, peaceful, you get ideas and inspiration from it, or you draw along and learn more about how I do this kind of art along with me, then you're most welcome here, and please consider subscribing because it costs you nothing at all. And if you click the little bell next to the subscription button, you get notifications when I release a new video, which is most days in the week, but there doesn't seem necessarily to be a schedule at this time because life is life, shall we say. So this is the drawing I've worked on in the previous two videos. I will put links to them in the description below because I'm remembering to do things like that mostly. And I don't have very much of it left to do. So let's see if we can finish the pen drawing in the video today as far as I want to take it. And then I'll think about how I'm going to add shadow and or colour and or highlight and or other things perhaps. I want to vary things up here a little bit with pattern, and I'm looking at this shape here and I think I know what I might like to do. And I think I'm going to take swoops like this. And yet I know I could have started with the middle one and worked my way out. But I think this will be quite nice, these kinds of things. Because again, in my last video I explained that with this one I'm trying to stick to a limited number of motifs, if you will. Mainly this kind of idea, this one and this one. This is really a variation of this. I haven't got any variations of this or this, although I could argue that the arch here is perhaps a bit like the outside, possibly. But I'm looking at shapes and things and how I can get things to look like they belong and yet be different, if that makes sense. So I've got these shapes here, which would be quite fun to do something with here to change how we're approaching those shapes perhaps, and to give a bit of something a bit different going on. So I am adding weight to the left and the bottom of the outside loop, but I'm leaving the insides pretty much as they are. I could add some weight to add layering so they feel like they're layered. Let's try that. So again, to the left and the bottom of each. And then that looks like we've got a leaf piled on top of a leaf. It's like they're layered, which is something a little bit different. It's not something I'd ordinarily do with a pattern like that. But I think I can do it because they're much bigger than I would normally draw this kind of thing. So here I want another one, and I'm going to take it right out to my my border here, and I've gone a bit thick with the line there, but I'm okay with that. That is what it is. We've got this one, it's a bit thicker there, and then on that black area just peeking out from underneath, which is fun. So let's do another one here. And I know when I add some weight to this, I'm going to make that little gap there disappear. So to the left and the bottom-ish. And again to the left and the bottom-ish. I don't know why I'm saying bottom-ish. It's sort of like, it is what it is here, and it'll work its way through. And I have got a lot more ink on these ones than this, so they look a bit clunky, like they don't belong, but they do. Okay, I will add some here, but only the end of it, just to get a nice finish here. a nice edge, as it were, sort of like fill these gaps in a little bit. Perhaps here as well. And perhaps another one here and one there. And trying to get an edge, or an arrangement at the edge here that pleases me. That's much bigger than the others, but it's fine. I think I'd like some here, maybe. So this part is going to be the darker area, as is this area here, and then this one. It's quite surprising how quickly things like this can grow. Now, I was looking somewhere and I thought, ooh, that needs a bit of an adjustment. That one there and that one there. Oop, that one now needs it because I didn't pick my pen straight up. It is quite early here in the morning. It's just after 7 o'clock and it is Tuesday the 26th of July. That's the sound of me stirring my mocha. I fancied mocha this morning. I'm usually a tea drinker. I love my tea. I occasionally have a hankering for coffee. I do like coffee flavoured things, but I'm not a big fan of coffee. But this morning I just thought I really fancy mocha. So chocolate and coffee. And that's something I associate more with the cooler seasons. But it feels relatively cool here after last week's blistering temperatures. I do have to say, and it's one of those things where, because it's cooler in the mornings, it's got that feeling of autumn, and I'm thinking it's late August, and we haven't even hit August yet. So, I don't know. I did see a headline that was saying, oh, we're in for more hot weather at the beginning of August. The forecast is showing it. I thought, what? It was in some newspaper or other. And so I had to look at the weather forecast, and the answer to that is nope. Nope. Fear-mongering again. We've got a number of newspapers here in the UK who like to fearmonger about the weather or anything else, really. So, but no, it doesn't seem to be so. Though who knows? Weather's apt to change. So I quite like that. That is an interesting kind of pattern here. And I'm going to do something with these, this kind of shape. But instead of having the honesty there, I'm going to change this just a little bit, and I'm going to use petals in a different way. Like so. I guess this is a bit crescent moony with this Entangled pattern. But we need to add some line weight there. And again here with these inside, just to add some volume there. So to the left and bottom. So this inner ring, I'm putting shadow to the top and the right, and on the outside of it to the left and the bottom. And these I'm doing left to bottom. And really, I could have done these as well, which is what I'm doing now. Left and bottom on all of these to give them that feeling that they are not flat, but there's some volume or dimension to them, depending on how you prefer to describe it. I say volume, being a scientist, because it feels more right. More right, more correct to me to say volume. And these won't take me very long, even though there's a few of them. Yesterday I did some baking, as in I made bread. I'm making a lot of bread for myself these days. Having a bread maker is wonderful, but I didn't use it for quite a while. I have great trouble making wholemeal bread, and I love wholemeal bread, but it always ends up sour and horrible in the bread maker, and I don't know why. I follow the recipes really well, but they just never seem to work out for me. I did do those ones, so I'm just double checking. So that's added something a little bit extra to these little bits here. But the one I made yesterday was the basic recipe from the book that came with the bread maker. They always come with recipes that you can use. Start off was for a raisin bread. Well, I'm not a wonderful fan of raisins. I prefer sultanas, which are still dried grapes, but I don't know why they're different exactly, but I just prefer sultanas. And so I adapted the recipe. I put some dried cranberries in with some sultanas, not to the measurements in the recipe. I put a lot more in because, well, I can. And I also didn't wait for the beep to add them. I can't be doing with that. So I put them all in at the beginning. Oh, and it had cinnamon in it as well. When it came out, I had a couple of slices while the bread was still fairly hot. Oh my goodness, it was gorgeous. So that's a new favourite for me. It's going to be lovely with cheese. So I do like something that's sweet with the sharp tang of cheese. I like that contrast. Sweet and sharp, sweet and sour, I suppose. I also thought it'd be absolutely fantastic bread to go with curry. Now, before you think I'm crazy, you get Peshwari Naan Breads, which have got raisins or sultanas in and coconut, as well as subtle spices and so on, and they are fantastic with curries. So, I've made naan breads in the past, but I can't make them in the bread maker. I could best probably make the dough in there, but I've got zero interest in doing that. But to be able to make a bread that has that kind of Peshwari-ness about it. Oh. So I've got a click and collect later today from my local Tesco's supermarket, and I have some coconut in the order. I've also got ingredients to make a tarta de Santiago. This is a cake that is made using almonds and eggs and sugar and cinnamon and butter, I think. There's very few ingredients. No flour. No flour. And it is absolutely delicious. I had it for breakfast every day while I was visiting Santiago de Compostela in northwest Spain. Oh, nearly 20 years ago now. It's hard to believe that. Feels like it wasn't that long ago. And I was vegan at the time. I'm now vegetarian. And I sort of like had to suspend my veganness for a number of days while I was there, because it was incredibly difficult to find anything I could eat. I managed, you do. And but there was always tarta de Santiago on the breakfast buffet in the morning. And of course breakfast is always more or less the best time of day. And they were fantastic in the hotel I stayed in. I travelled by myself, so that was a bit unusual, I think, to have a single female there. But the waitress who was assigned to my assigned table, because we all had our own tables in the morning. It was sort of like your room number was there and you went to your room number table. And, before I walked in, and within seconds she'd be there with this huge pot of tea for me. She worked out that, they knew I liked tea and, everything. It was absolutely fantastic. So So I finally ordered the ingredients to have a go at making Tarta de Santiago for myself. And I say it is absolutely, well, I loved it. I really, really did. So, and I'm going to be looking forward to doing that tomorrow. Not tonight, not today, because I'm picking my groceries up later this evening. So it'll be a bit late to cook. Well, it will be for me. But we will manage. I will manage, and I will get things sorted. So I'm doing a few more of these than I expected over here. I'm trying to leave some white space, but it just seems that I don't want to do that. So I was talking about baking, wasn't I, and cooking? Yeah, I know. So I'm going to have some fun times ahead. So my next loaf of bread will be inspired by Peshwari naans, but it'll be bread rather than naan, which I will look forward to. I haven't done the weighting on these, adding those little bits of weight there and there. I'll do it on this one now. My other job today is to really make a start on colouring the templates they'd like coloured for my fantastic, what's it called? Do you know, I can never remember the start of this bird. It's something birds. And it begins with an F. It'll come to me. My bird book, my birds colouring book. So that's the plan for today, is to get that done. Then I've got another project on the go that isn't a colouring book that I need to do some work with as well. So that'll keep me busy today. And as it looks like it's going to be sunny today, that puts the kibosh on me going out for a walk. Me and sun, we don't agree, or rather my skin doesn't like the sun very much. I burn all too easy and I come out in weird rashes. And some cream I have to use on my skin as well. Do not go out in the sunshine without extremely heavy sun protection cream, and only then if you have to, basically. So I listen to that because I know my skin can burn even in the middle of winter, so it's a bit of a shame, but as I often say, it is what it is. So that's looking quite nice. Now I want some of these elsewhere, and I think the perfect place to add them will be here, because I do like groups and clusters. Of motifs. And I try to do them in odd numbers, to be honest with you. Although it's not super critical, because we've got the repetition of shapes more than anything here going on. But it'd be quite nice to add just a few in here, I think. So we've got some going on here. And I perhaps need to thicken these areas where I'm putting the lines in to suggest layering, just that little bit. So we've got this going on here. So I've got plans for today, and all's well and good. well, as well and good as it can be in these days of great uncertainty, it seems, in many ways in many parts of the world, which is why it's certain, or it's important to have some things in life, I think, that you can be certain of, you can rely on, I think. And it's art for me that gives me a break from news and whatever. Not that I spend a lot of time watching the news, but you know what I mean, from events in the world and everything else. I can lose myself in a little world of my own creating where everything's pleasant and everybody gets along. Not that there's people in my drawings, but you know, somewhere there would be. That's quite nice. I like the way this almost swoops around, and I'd like to capitalise on that, make use of it. A little bit, just to add some more of these and to perhaps get that sense of movement going on. The other thing yesterday was I had my copy of The Secrets of Dumbledore arrived, which is the latest in the Fantastic Beasts films set, you know, in the world of Harry Potter, the Wizarding World. So I watched that yesterday evening and, lots of tears were shed because I'm really, really soppy about lots of things, and I get very emotional about things. But it's a good film. Don't think I'm very fussed on Mads Mikkelsen as Grindelwald, though. Because, of course, they cancelled Johnny Depp's contract with all the hoo-ha going on around him and Amber Heard. But it's an interesting tale, or series, tales for sure, and it's a different look at the world and the grown-up area of the world, rather than focusing on, Hogwarts and children or young people. So you get more of a view into things and the background history of Dumbledore as well, which is fun. So that was nice, and no doubt I'll watch the film again and again. I didn't go to the cinema to see it because it involves being around people. And I'm still not up to being around people much. It freaks me out. It always freaked me out, but because it was normal to be completely freaked out by people. I got on and did things. Nowadays, it's not normal for me to be around people and to be freaked out by them. So the difference, or the noticeable difference in how I feel and the effect it has on me, it's very noticeable. So it's all part and parcel of self-care in some way. The wonderful things about complex post-traumatic stress and living with it most of my life without realising. So these feelings were, in inverted commas, normal for me, but completely abnormal for what is normal and considered a healthy response from people generally. So there we go. So I like that. I do like those two areas, and they sort of complement this, in a nice kind of way. We've got those shapes being repeated. Okie doke. So I just need a few things just to fill in some of these gaps, and I'm going to make use of these shapes. And it's almost like these are getting narrower towards the end, so I'm going to make use of that by drawing leaves that are shaped like this, because they really do, I say leaves, plants, because again it's that kind of shape. Because we can't see the end of them, we can assume that they're tucked in like this, but they're not going to be identical. And I am going to put a little leaf or two right at the base there, with a little line at the centre to denote that they're like little leaves. And I'm going to draw a cluster of them. Up here. Again, I'm making sure that I am thickening these lines to the left and the bottom. And again, I'm going to add a couple of these little leaves there. Two just feels awkward. It's my head. It says no, no to twos. So how can I get another one to grow here? Let's have it growing this way, and we'll have a baby one, babyish one. That works. So that just fills that space up nicely, although I think I may just have to pop in a spiral or two here and there just to fill some gaps in. And I am drawing these as just the spiral part. Then I'm going back around and down. Like so. And we'll do the line thickening again to the left and the bottom. So the left, bottom there, underneath here, left and bottom there, bit there. And that just fills that little bit in and makes that quite pleasant. So that top corner I think is done. Possibly. I think I might just pop a couple of these seed shapes, the ones that I filled the centres with, but perhaps have a couple of those just perhaps floating or attached here in some way, as if they're breaking free from inside, as if they're seed pods opening. So that works quite nicely. And perhaps another one over here. Just to tie that in. Then I've got this area down here, so I'm going to do some more of these because that feels a logical thing to do. And I don't know that art isn't always logical, but my mind can be fairly logical and gets bogged down in that. Yeah. Still a scientist. I can still take things far too seriously. So let's add a little cluster of these. Because I just think that would be quite nice. So I'll try to keep my hands out the way so you can see what I'm doing, but I think we're getting to the point where you've got a pretty good idea of how this works now. Just going to finish the drawing off in today's video, and then we'll see where this goes at another time perhaps, as in terms of colour and what have you. Because at the moment I don't know exactly what I want to do, whether it's just shading I want to add or colour, and that tends to dictate what I do next with these. So this will be the bottom. So if I turn it around, so this is the bottom here, and this is the left side up towards the top. Again, we'll add some of these little leaves here, and they will overlap and go behind each other, and I quite like that because again it's adding that sense of layering and dimension. And perhaps because I've got a bit more space here, I can always add a couple more. So I've got one here. Now I know by comparing this shape to these, I can see where I've got the thick lines. So rather than me turning this around crazily, let's go like this. So this will be slightly thicker on the line there, as will this one and the line there. So that works quite nicely. That works quite nicely growing out without the stem, but I do like the stems. And we'll have some of the stems bent as well, because they don't have to be straight or in just one curve. They can have an S curve in them, or anything you like really. If you want a springy coiled stem, you can do that. It's just a question of playing around. I don't really do springy coiled stems, I do have to say that. Okay, we haven't got our little bits on the tops of these ones, but I'll add them now. Because again, those little bits tie them back to this, which is it's what I like to do. Now down here, I'm not going to put any of these little spirally bits. I'm just going to pop in a number of these seeds. I say a number because it just depends what I think will feel right here. Now I'm filling in little gaps that are too small to do anything else with, or that look a bit awkward. So we have this, and then I think here is the opportunity for one of these, just to show that this isn't just a one-off thing, I suppose, that these kinds of motifs happen elsewhere. I'm going to add one in here to fill this little space, and again it's working out which is the left and the bottom, which I managed to do mostly. And then here I can add one of those seeds just to fill that space up. And perhaps here I can add one of these as well, just to, again, it's just making it feel that it's deliberate rather than a random kind of thing. And just add a couple more of these in, just to that one there. I've just got it stuck onto the thing there, and I think that now that is done. Oh, perhaps I can add a couple of these elsewhere. Is me not thickening the outside edges either, so we'll go back over those just to tie them together, and perhaps one here that isn't attached but is floating like so, and perhaps another one here that is attached, or touching, I should say, rather than attached, but you know what I mean. So that feels good. Again, it's that feeling of coherence, is that if I've got these in one part, then I could do with them elsewhere. Just to, again, it's that coherence, it's the just tying things together. No space over here for one, but I do have space for perhaps one down here. These need to thicken underneath like so. Perhaps I can get a small one in here tucked behind. Perhaps another one here, because that just looks a little bit of an awkward gap there. Perhaps one in here that's a bit bigger. And then perhaps one just there. There's a lack of them in this area. So I'm stopping and taking a look and deciding, okay, have I got this sorted yet? Does it look right? Does it feel right to me? That feels better. There we go. So no doubt somebody will spot and go, you should have put one there. That's fine. I may do that once I've taken some time away and I come back to it. But for now, I think that is done. So the only thing I need to do is to pick a space. I think here would be a nice place for me to do this. So I'm going to pop something that looks like one of those in there, but in there I'm just going to pop my initials and have that hidden. So I've now finished with the drawing. The drawing here is all done. The only thing that needs to be done now is the deciding whether I add colour and shadow or a mixture or both. Very ink heavy, very intricate. There are open spaces. I've got some elements like these and these and these that have a lot less ink. Even these really, because there's a lot of empty space. I do have empty space around and about as well, but nothing much between the elements. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. So hopefully, I don't know whether that'll get done tomorrow because I've still got this mandala, which I found. This one I still need to sort out in terms of shadow and colour and so on. I still haven't worked out what I want to do with that. And I have another drawing somewhere here. I don't know where I've popped it. I've put something somewhere safe, haven't I? But the square one I was doing the other day, that is, oh, there it is, as I reach across. I've still got this one to add shadow and highlight to as well. So I've got quite a few here to cope with and to deal with. Shadow, highlight, colour. I don't know what I'm going to do, which combination or what medium I'm going to use to achieve these things yet. We'll scan them all in though and perhaps do them digitally as well. I'll see what happens. So until I see you again, take care of yourselves, and above all else, find time to be creative. So, bye-bye for now. Bye.